Hi everyone, I'm Asa Merritt. I'm a horror writer living in Mexico City. Welcome to my channel where I talk about my writing life. Today I want to share the 5 current projects that I have going on, and I'm excited to tell you about them, to tell you about where they're at, and sort of from a larger kind of what can you take away from this project. I'm also going to talk, or this video rather, I'm also going to talk about why I'm doing each of these 5 different projects, because they each have really different motivations behind them and are serving different functions in my life, both personally and professionally. It's something I think about a lot, where to put my energy, and so that's what I want to talk about. I'm going to go through 5, which in the course of this video, in making this video, I've really realized is too many. So a real success of prepping this video is like, you know what, this is too many projects and I have to finish some things before going on to the next, even though I am really excited about each of these, even though I do think they serve important purposes. So I want to start first with Bully, literary psychological horror thriller. And it is a piece about being deaf. I am deaf in one ear. I have no hearing in my left ear. And this is a recent change in my life. And it's led to kind of a wild sort of mental health problems, and my life has changed, and it's a very scary thing, which lends itself well to a horror fiction piece. Where this project is at is I have a full outline. I've written the first couple chapters. Originally, I was writing it as audio fiction. My debut work was a series I wrote for Audible. The format has changed a little bit. And the reason why I'm writing this particular work is because of sort of pure artistic reasons. This is a forever story for me. This is a story I have to tell. And I just think that this is a really unique experience that I have to share. And I think mapping this experience onto a horror story could really sort of be affirming for me as an artist, as well as kind of help others understand what this is like. And really, ultimately, what hearing loss is about is sort of disorientation and a lack of confidence, and sort of a fundamental, the world that you thought you knew, you no longer knew, which I think can relate to everybody. But sort of in terms of this conversation around strategy and why, the reason why I'm doing this project is it's sort of fundamental to me as an artist and something I want to pursue. So the next project that I have in the mix right now, what's motivating it is more of kind of a sense of community. I live in Mexico City and I write in English. And over the years here, I am trying slowly but surely to kind of integrate with the creative community here. I'm at the very beginning of kind of writing in Spanish. I did a screenwriting program here. And so Diario de Terror is a horror fiction collective that I started here. We just had our first edition a few weeks ago, and it was a huge success. What we did for that is I set up a contest, and everyone submitted these short, scary stories, and we picked the best ones. We found actors for each of them, and we performed them publicly. There was wine, great vibes. Anyway, it was a huge success, and the status of that is that we're now currently planning the second edition, fixing things we did wrong, mainly keeping the things that work the same. And the reason why I'm doing this, like I said, is community. I'm trying to improve my Spanish. I'm trying to integrate my life here, and I'm trying to discover new horror voices. Mexico is one of the biggest markets in the world for horror, particularly in cinema, but horror fiction as well. You may or may not know of the Spanish language horror renaissance that's happening. Andean Gothic is what they're calling this. Samantha Schweblin is like an all-time favorite of mine. And anyway, so it's just kind of a way to be a part of things here and sort of build kind of a profile. Next thing that I'm working on is a short film. And so this is where I'm starting to have some doubts about kind of this strategy, right? It's like, on the one hand, there's this sort of traditional advice to kind of stick to one medium, right? Dig into one medium, and that's where you'll find success. Where I'm at with this, my background is kind of cross medium. I used to be a journalist. I've worked in audio. Bully is kind of my first sort of true book project, but I'm working on this short film, and I'm already kind of on the second version. I ditched an entire concept, wrote several drafts of that concept, decided it was too complicated, which I think is almost always true of a short film. And now I'm working on the second concept, which is much simpler. It's basically free of dialogue. And the why of this particular project, and again, this is kind of the larger theme that I'm trying to talk about, like different kinds of projects serve different purposes. And this particular one is based on kind of an artistic want to collaborate with a friend here who's a director. He is an avid horror cinema lover, but has never directed any kind of horror. He's directed award-winning documentaries and some other kind of projects, but this is new for him, and he's really excited to work with me. And then, I'm definitely thinking about my career. I'm sort of a mid-career writer, and I, am trying to constantly kind of find new channels of opportunities. And so for me, the short film is kind of a relatively simple way to get work out. They're relatively inexpensive to make, especially if you write a 6-minute silent one like mine with one actor. There's a huge demand for this kind of material. There's all kinds of horror-specific film festivals. So in the constellation of reasons to do things, getting your name out, getting work out quickly is certainly a good reason, and that is what I'm trying to do with the short horror film. So moving down the list is another novella or another book. It's called Project Fever. I have started this book. I made a fun vlog about this project where I went to a cabin out in the woods to sort of just bang home 20,000 words on the first draft. I feel super stoked on this project. However, I'm realizing that I should table it for the time being and return to Bully. Bully is farther along. Bully has really been signed off on by my manager. He's really excited about it. And as someone trying to sort of build a career as a commercial writer, I'm going to kind of trust that support. And as I said, additionally, it's like a deeply personal project. And so I am kind of looking at Project Fever, this horror novella, as something that was kind of a distraction, but a necessary one, because what motivated me to start it was a rejection on Listen. I pitched it to one of the big five as an audiobook, and they were really interested, and there was sort of an ongoing conversation about different ways the project could live, sort of as a multicast story or as sort of a more traditional audiobook. And I was just really feeling good and positive about the whole thing, which is always a dangerous way to feel, especially when you're dealing with kind of high-level institutions, whether it's a traditional publishing house or, Hollywood, which I've been rejected by them plenty of times also. Anyway, I really had my hopes up, and I got a big no on that project ultimately. And so I said, hey, okay, fine. I need to like let this go, which I think maybe I just had to do. Maybe that was the reality of that particular project for that moment. But I'm feeling like I want to come back to it now. And so that's kind of a really cool sort of transition that's happening right now, is feeling comfortable about tabling Project Fever, moving back to Bully, because I do love that. I do love that project. And that brings me to number 5, and that is this channel, this Authortube channel. And I will be explicit and transparent here that until very recently, I have been really oblivious of this nook of the internet. I really wasn't even a consumer of YouTube media very much at all. But in this rejection or pass, we don't need to get dramatic. In this pass from the publisher, in the course of that conversation, I received this email, which kind of rocked my world a little bit, because sort of in the kind of audio fiction, film, TV, more Hollywood adjacent land, I had never been asked something like this. And I was stunned by this question, and I said, well, no, I don't know anybody. And so I was like, but you know what? I got things to say, and why not? Why not put myself out there on social media? That's why I'm here today. I've been so inspired, really, by the Authortube space and everyone talking so honestly about where they're at and their goals, and it's so cool to see people achieve their goals over time. And so I'm kind of, I feel like, wow, this is cool. So anyway, that is number 5. But to sum up, why am I doing that? Okay, why, right? So similarly, this comes back to like, if Bully is for kind of, this is like a soul project, and the short film is something I can kind of get out right away, kind of short-term projects, long-term projects. The sort of content creation part of my career right now, the impulse was, kind of this direct ask, do you have this going on for yourself? But at this point, it's more about kind of a couple of things. It's like connecting with new writers, new voices. Most of the folks on Authortube are younger than I am, and it's sort of the whole orientation to art and literature is different, and I just feel like I'm learning so much. Additionally, in terms of this need for affirmation, I need this at least. I think some people can really put their head down for a couple years and work on something and be just, that's the thing. I, for one, really kind of like to create, put work out in a way that kind of has more immediate sort of affirmation or audience, or kind of, oh, hey, I put this thing out into the world. And that's something that I have really found with this channel in its early days, is just, okay, hey, I can just make something and put it out there. And that's been really satisfying. So those are my 5 current projects. Thanks for listening. If you're sort of a newish writer, hopefully this conversation has sparked some ideas about like where to put your energy. And I'm not here to tell anyone where to put your energy, but I do think it's useful to kind of think about, okay, hey, like, why am I doing this? And does this get me to where I want to go? And, for me at least, I can't exclusively focus on like, career moves. I have to do these things that deeply fulfill me. And yeah, to the extent that there's advice in this video, that's my 2 cents, is kind of balancing the personal with the professional in order to get eventually where you want. And where I want to be right now is with you on this channel. If you're new here, I'd love you to subscribe. And if this resonates, let me know why.